Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. Rhett's out in the living room. It is Thursday, the 4th of December. It's 36 degrees outside. So 32, I believe, that's 36 degrees Fahrenheit. 32, I believe, is 0 Celsius. And then I believe it's like about 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit per degree Celsius. So I guess that puts us at just under 2 degrees Celsius. Felt good. I went out there just wearing this. I would say a week ago, I was wearing a big jacket and gloves and a hat at 45 degrees. And now it's 36 and I feel fine. Outside it was just like I have a long sleeve shirt on underneath this and then this. So I'm adapting to the cold weather pretty quickly. That was good. I went on a run last night out in the cold, and so yeah, I was able to physically adapt to this new temperature scheme that we are operating under right now. So that's good. So yesterday, or like the last few days, I kind of, I don't know. I feel like maybe I was like in, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but this whole recyclable sequence service just got weird to me. Like it just seemed weird. It's like, why the heck am I saving the recycled IDs in an array? Why not save the generated IDs that I'm currently using and remove those and as I need them? And then what would be very nice is if I not only did I have the ID, but I had like the type, like what type it is. Maybe a dictionary of ID and type. And it was like, because then it would be easier to debug mostly, so I could say, oh, okay, I have a mesh ID for some reason that's still there, even though I've deleted everything, something like that. Just a hint, a step in the right direction. So, and it's one of those things that if I had built it that way from the beginning, it would have been a lot faster, but I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to build. So anyways, I was actively working through camera. So this is a 3-camera service. And so I added like delete camera, st by ID. So let's go ahead and get rid of this console log. And I was just kind of working through delete, and that's when I ran into this recyclable rabbit hole, and now I've decided I want to go down this rabbit hole, but I would like to get this all committed first, and I want to make sure I have 100% code coverage, and I want to make sure that I have that all the end-to-end tests pass. And I have decided I was going to change the way I do this. Like I was going to do commit when I was going to do a commit when I finished the code sort of that I wanted to write, then another commit when I finished the Cypress, and then another commit when I finish unit tests, and then another commit when I finish Cypress. And then that I will know that when I have these Cypress commits, that those are the places, those are the appropriate places to roll back to if I wanted to roll out of some old code. Once I hit that Cypress, that's me saying, hey, this is all done. So like, I guess technically what I could do is, and I don't push till the Cypress gets, so I could merge all those into a single commit, and that might make sense before I do the push. But I think for now I'm just going to do it this way. So this is a point where I tend to kind of go through and just look for console logs, smell test issues, and I guess this would be a great time to kind of think through, hey, how is this going to be for the unit test? So it looks like all I did was add some comments, and I think I want to keep this because, remembering this in the future will be difficult, and it won't be hard to delete this commented out code. Let's say 3 weeks from now, I'm over here and I see this commented out code. It's going to be a lot easier to delete that because I know it's been commented out for the last 3 weeks. I haven't needed it. Base dictionaries. It looks like I added a base dictionary. Yep, ThreeJS camera. I like that. So basically, this defines a dictionary, and it's saying, hey, this dictionary has ThreeJS cameras. When we go to add, I think at one point I will add the other kind of dictionary. I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but Is it an aspect camera? I don't know. There's another kind of camera. It's kind of neat. I haven't found it to be useful, but I would imagine it's very, very rarely useful. But boy, when it is, I bet you like you don't need it until you need it. Um, okay, so this, I think this comment was just there for me to sure this. Okay, so we did make sure this ID is being recycled. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So I guess we just get rid of the whole, because that's all there is in here. So we'll get rid of that, kind of make sure everything still compiles. Okay, generate a new camera. Okay, so that's absolutely useless. Commit, I mean change. It was useful at the time. It's useless now though. But it looks like there's a more significant change here. And this was the actual, I think this was a brand new function, but I don't think we want this anymore. I think we do want the 1, 2, 3. And I'm hoping that when I do this recyclable service refactor, that it doesn't cause any breakages on the other side. I definitely will default to not specified when I go to when I create one in the future, generate an ID. I'm going to add a argument, and that argument's going to be the type, and that type won't be required. So if you don't send a type through, when you go to generate a sequence, it will just say not specified or something along those lines. Attempt to delete the SD camera. Okay, I don't think that you 2 days ago. I don't think that's a very useful comment, so I'm going to get rid of it. Delete renderer will definitely get called. I mean, if we're calling delete renderer, since this is just adding code, these 2 lines will get called, and it's probably not going to affect my test coverage. That other one is a brand new one. It might not get called, but it looks like whatever calls this will end up calling that other new function. So we're probably good, still on the 100%. Okay, so this is just bringing in my new camera dictionary and get camera. I think that is a useful comment. And I think this, although it looks like there may be a typo in there. Nope, just the way. So that's good. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. And I don't remember exactly. Okay, we probably don't want this. Although we are actively going to be working in this in the next iteration. Yeah, let's just go ahead. Okay, so there were no changes to visualization service. That is, or recyclable sequence service. So that's that. Let's do our commit. Now I don't remember exactly how we did our commits for this, so I'm going to say get log. And I know that it's from 2021 CLI execution. Okay, so that was that. And now, okay, so this was the big one. This is a super. Okay, so I put super commit when the Cypress. So unit tests, update resize feature code commit. Okay, so looks like I just kind of say what it is. Oh, but I put code commit. I think that is important. All right. Commit -m, and I don't know what video this is going to be. This is video 325. And then I think I feel like I should say code commit first. Code commit. And then delete camera and visualization. You know what's did I misspell that? It's well, first of all, it's got an S. Visualizations. You know, something I just realized is, what if I don't even have a super commit? Like, what if this is it? Um, like, um, I won't. Yeah, I'll have no way of knowing. Oh, this is an appropriate um, commit to roll back to, because it is possible that I won't need to make any unit test changes or Cypress changes for this. It's actually likely. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know. Let's so git add dot. I always do that. I always try to do a commit message before. Okay, so npm run test. So now we're going to do our unit testing. It is 8:37, so I still have a good bit of time before I start my job. A job that pays the bills and is important. It's important work, and kind of, I just really enjoy it. I enjoy the people I work with. I'm just very grateful for it. I think I'm really grateful for it just because I went so long without being able to get a full-time job. You know, like, unfortunately in the United States, most organizations don't put a lot of value in computer programmers. It's kind of a sad situation, because it's like, the reason they don't, I think, in pure opinion, and I'm only just talking because this thing is going. I think the reason is because we sort of, somehow we've gotten ourselves into this thing where we think it's okay, and maybe it's always been this way in the United States. So I just, like, our public education system sort of propaganda just kind of like made me think it was different. But like, we kind of have like a subclass of human beings here, which is horrible in my opinion, of sort of foreign workers. And so unfortunately the foreign workers are in a situation where they can't really say what they really think about things. And but the problem is that most leaderships don't have any empathy for that, because they've never been in there. So we have one failing: cannot read property undefined of st camera id. So this is should delete a render item, and then this is should delete an id, and this is in our st render service.ts is where the actual error filed. So this is not the test that failed, but this was the line of code that got that failed. And then this is our app. So in our app layout tabular component, apparently that ends up doing so. So my first instinct was to go, oh, I'm going to go to render service and go work on its unit test, but that would have been bad, right? So I have grown as a developer at this moment, and it's good to recognize when you actually have gotten better, because historically I could spend an hour trying to figure out that. But let's go look at this one. So apparently that gets called from UI service, and then that gets called from app layout component, and then it apparently happens in this app tabular layout component spec TS on line 25. So let's go ahead and focus on that. So it's kind of a good news, bad news thing. So good news is at least I'm going to have a commit for unit tests. The bad news is I have to do some work. I thought all unit tests were going to pass when I guessed, and I guessed wrong. Wrong again, Aaron. So anyways, you know what, I'm just going to go to my Control V spec and close others. So this time I kind of just did a search for the file. I had been trying to kind of switch over to not searching for files, but more like what am I trying to say? Like trying to visualize the architecture of the application and then go to that, which I think is sort of the opposite. I think most people generally get a good grip of the overall understanding of the architecture and sort of work that way, work backwards from that. But so now this was line 25. So it looks like this guy failed. Delete renderer item. So what I like to do at this point, and I don't always do it this way, but at this point I don't really have a good grip of what's wrong. I could start figuring it out, but I think I should focus on this one change, this one unit test. Now this is a common mistake I see developers do, is where they'll focus on a single test and then they'll commit that way, and they'll be like, I got 100%, all my unit tests passed, but they focused on a single one. Okay, so it's still the same error, so that's a good thing, because sometimes when you focus on a unit test, it starts passing, and that's a nightmare scenario. So let's go ahead and go. I don't see any red, so it looks like we are, in fact, calling it properly. And all it does is that, and then it tries to call this delete renderer service. So let's go to delete renderer service. It's like I almost would rather mock delete renderer service, because like there's like sort of a school of thought that's like, we aren't trying to unit test the delete renderer service. We're trying to unit test the this function, and we'll let the unit test for delete renderers figure out how to delete the renderers. But for now, let's just go ahead. We might end up having to go that route because there's just no telling. Go to definition. So now this thing is upset. Is this where the final error happens? Everything calls an ST renderer service. And see, I do think that this is sort of pointing out some kind of problem that I can't quite wrap my mind around at the moment. The problem is that there's like an externality, I think. I don't know how to put it in words. There's an externality of some sort that a dependency that I have that that function shouldn't really care about. Because that's a very simple function. It's like it takes the delete render system and it calls this UI service. And so that may be an indication that we don't even need this function. Like whatever this thing is doing, this guy should be doing, possibly, especially if this is the only place it's being called. So let's go ahead and go down that rabbit hole right now. Let's see where all this is getting called. See, it looks like the only place we're calling it is in UI service. So it's like, okay, so why would I, what does this layer of abstraction do for me? Go to definition. Okay, so and again, this is like in English. In English, we're like, what's it doing for me? And it doesn't seem like it, and logic tells us that it doesn't seem, but maybe it does. And if it does, there may not be like a human language equivalent to Y, so that is the one thing that's become very clear to me, is that like not everything in software development has a human language equivalent. And so that's why a lot of times you just can't freaking explain things. But code that you can't explain in English, that is for as part of like a larger group where a lot of people need to work together on it, is worthless. The code kind of needs to be explainable. And so if it's not, you probably should. You probably should do that. So this, you should, you probably should figure out a different way to do it in a way that is human understandable. Um, but anyways, ST renderer service. So it's the line 30 is the problem. Line 30. Okay, so it's this first one. Something is wrong in here. It's upset that something is wrong. So it goes over here to, it calls the renderer. Go to definition. I'm like kind of like just like thinking, okay, this is a problem, I think. And so now this guy's trying to go through, and there's nothing in the renderer dictionary. It's what I'm guessing. So it's dying on line 175. And it's because there's an so it's because ST renderer doesn't exist. Right? So right? And that's exactly, I think that's what the error says. Cannot read property of undefined for ST camera ID. So the ST renderer doesn't even exist. This doesn't, none of this exists. And if none of that exists, this guy should just return the false, right? I think. Now, I don't know if that is the best overall, like 30,000 foot solution. But I think it is very reasonable to say that this function shouldn't do a darn thing if the renderer doesn't exist. Now, is that the best solution? No, I don't think so. I think there's a better solution. But is it a solution that is easy to communicate in human language? Yes. Is it a solution that's easy for the computer to understand? Yes. I think that makes it a very, very good solution. Maybe even the best solution. Maybe it's not the best solution for the computer, and maybe it's not the best solution for the abstractions, but since it's easily explained to humans and easily explained to the computer, saying, hey, if there's no renderer, if you go get renderer by ID and the renderer doesn't exist, then don't do any of this stuff because the renderer doesn't exist. Now, is it even possible in real life? Maybe, maybe not. Should maybe we return like an error, catch an error, or something like that? I don't know. I've never seen any value about it. I've worked on probably hundreds of code bases that used catch, try catch. I've never seen that be, other than like, oh, okay, well, no, if it's not a string, then turn it from a number to a string or something. Like, but to actually do code, but just to catch, like, hey, I found a weird edge case. I've never seen that be useful. So I'm hoping this fixes the problem. So it looks like it might have. Yep, all right. I think that is a very appropriate change. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, don't do anything if you find it. Return a false if you find it. So that's good. Now, let's go back. Back. Let's undo this. And that might have fixed the other breakage too. But it does look like we do not have 100% code coverage anymore. So looks like we're going to have to add at least a little bit of, at least 1 or 2 unit tests, I'm guessing. 8:55 minutes. Yeah, so I think it is hard in the United States. Okay, so we have 100% test. I mean, we have all 117 unit tests passing. Let's scroll down here. Oh, and we have 100% test coverage. All right, so we are ready to do our unit test commit. So let's go ahead and just look. I think the only change we have is that. So I do think this is a code improvement. I don't think there's anything wrong with this code. So I like this unit test commit. I like that, the way I did that, really. And then and maybe I don't want to call it a super commit because you know what? If we don't have a Cypress test and we move to the next code commit, we know by default that whatever was before, basically whatever's before a code commit, well, even that whatever, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good system. Okay, so delete camera and visualization IDs. I guess it makes sense to do it this way because this is the feature. It's not what we did. I guess I maybe put another object. Adds object test existence. Conditional. Now enter, and then forgot to do that. Get add, and then run our Cypress tests. Got 2 minutes. ATM run Cypress, and I'm gonna go with open instead of run because I don't know. So there's 2 ways that I could open Cypress. I can open it with open, or I can run it with run. And if I do run, it'll just run all the tests headless and just tell me if it failed or not. And I feel like that's probably the right way to go, but like the last few times I did it that way, and then I ended up just running open anyways, just because I just enjoy clicking through. It's just like sometimes you just gotta stop and smell the flowers. But yeah, so in the U.S. we have like issues with, I don't know. In some ways, I guess the way we do immigrant work, like for immigrants, is almost like a trial by fire. Like you kind of have to prove yourself to be that you're good enough to that you have value, that you bring value to the country. I guess I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to struggle with, because I think our immigration policy when it comes to like foreign workers and all that is awful, but it may be the best thing about possible. I don't know. I just don't know. But I do know that basically, like, we have certain types of work in the United States that's just insanely dangerous because the only people that do it are immigrants. And then, or the vast majority of people who do it are immigrants, or they're just like not very good jobs. And that would describe most computer programming jobs. Most computer like I strongly encourage my kids to not go into computer programming because you just get treated so badly. But I have worked my way all the way through that, and the place I work at right now treats me really, really well. And I just appreciate it so much. And it's just because I've been treated so badly at so many places for the last 25 years that now that that I like actually have some power over. I have some power isn't the right word, but I have some tools that I can use to keep myself happy and keep myself productive, and it's just wonderful. In the past, I've just kind of like, hey, you monkey, go push on the keyboard. And it's really nice that is not how they treat me at all at this job. There we Ooh, so resize is good. I cannot imagine anything breaking, but it is possible. Yeah, so I think I'm going to get away. That is definitely broken. Oh yeah, this will break it. This is expected breakage. Uh, and I was thinking that once I finished getting everything recycled, then I would work on that again. I would that resizing once it gets smaller, but unfortunately now I'm on another deeper rabbit hole, and that is sort of the nature of software development. But it gets really hard when you have like a bunch of people working together on different branches, and then everyone's going down rabbit holes trying to fix things. All right, so all the unit tests pass. All the unit tests that were expected to pass. So we are done with this feature. So I'm going to go ahead and git push. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's when it's pushed. I'll know. Like the last push thing is what is the appropriate to roll back to. All right, it's 8:57. Let me go back to where I plan to start tomorrow, just so it'll be a little faster for me to come up to speed. So this tomorrow, I want to refactor this so that generate ID will accept a type. That is not specified. And then it will create an array of IDs, and then it will look for the lowest available ID based on that array, and it won't be an array, it'll be a dictionary of IDs, which will have strings that it can be, and I'll probably try to strongly type it, and then I'll get rid of this recycle IDs concept completely. And when you go to recycle an ID, what it's actually doing, or recycle ID data structure, what it'll actually do is find it in the dictionary and delete it. So that will be things. I have gone back and forth. Maybe I want it to be a reference to the actual object. You know what? Actually, I think that's what I want it to be. So. The object that we're making the ID for, which at this moment I don't say any, but I definitely want to only want to create a dictionary that, and a set of all our types. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.